everyone, and welcome to our second Word Study Wednesday, our second out of 4. This week we're going to be talking about practical ways to use developmental spelling instruction in your classroom. And in order to do that, you need to assess the students and find out where their developmental levels are. And as we've seen from the research that we looked at last week, that prescribing one set grade level list for all of your students to memorize and rote spell isn't a fitting way and isn't the most effective way to teach spelling. So how do you figure out what spelling words you should work on with your students? And then next week we're going to look at how we're going to instruct. So this week is focused on assessment and then also placement, and we're getting a little bit into the selection of materials for what you're going to use to teach your students. So there are many different kinds of spelling inventories. They look into students' spelling abilities not by grade level, but according to the developmental stages of spelling. And they also look into the specific spelling patterns that students are using but confusing. That's the coined term. Like if they're using silent E's for every single long A word. So we're going to be looking into this a little bit today. Now, I'm not going to bore you. You know how to read a book. If you have a Words Their Way text that looks like this, or even an older version is just fine, or if you have the Word Journeys text, these have all the information you need on how to implement developmental spelling inventories. I'm not going to step-by-step go through this. However, if you were very interested in seeing specifically how to do each assessment, I have posted on the videos and links. I think this is the best one so far, but the videos and links section on the blog, I've posted specific typed out instructions of how to do developmental spelling inventories. There are videos, all sorts of resources, and especially pertaining to the Words Their Way spelling inventory. This spelling inventory is used a lot. There's a lot of teachers I know who use it, and it's a great spelling inventory. However, for a few specific reasons, I find that my favorite inventory to use, and I've used this one in many different classes, is in the Word Journeys text by Kathy, I think it's Gansk, I think that's how you pronounce it. And in this text, I'm going to actually go through a little bit of an overview with you of why I prefer this developmental spelling, they call this one a DSA, a developmental spelling analysis, just because it's a little bit more in depth. I like the organization. You get the same basic information from the Words Their Way text, but this one just gives you a little bit more to go off of, and there are more options of multiple tests to use throughout the year. So I wanted to talk to you about the Word Journeys text today and their DSA, the Developmental Spelling Analysis. So when you get your class in the fall, or you're working with a small group of students, or you're tutoring or homeschooling, whatever you're doing, when you get your students, there is a screening inventory you can do in the Word Journeys text if you just have no clue what spelling level these kiddos could be at. I tend to not use that in my regular classroom, but I have used it when I was working with older students. So I've taught some like 12 and 13-year-olds, and I did not know them before we met. I had their files and things, but I really didn't know if they were letter name spellers, were they within Word, where I knew they were struggling, and I wanted to see a really accurate view of where their holes were. So I started with that screening inventory. Just wanted you to know it's optional. For the most part, this upcoming school year, I don't plan on using the screening inventory. I'm going to go ahead and start where I feel the students might be. So if they're first graders, I might start with the letter name stage and see how they do. So let me show you a few of my favorite pages. You can obviously tell that this book is well loved. I have Post-its everywhere. I think I should have stock in Post-its. Would be a good idea. So basically, there is an assessment for each stage, but there's multiple. So there's a Form A and a Form B for letter name stage. What this looks like in the classroom, very simply, Students get a sheet of paper, and I'll show you what it would look like. Lined sheet of paper, numbers down the side. You say a word, so say I got my first graders. I'm thinking, they're probably letter name stage spellers. Let me see. So I have all the students sit out, and I give them a lined piece of paper. And I'm not. Oh, there it is. It looks like this in the back of your book. And I would put LN right here for letter name stage. So I hand these to the students, and I make sure that they know they're not getting a grade. I tell them, all right, we're going to be doing a spelling exercise. This is so I know what spelling words we should work on and what we don't need to work on. As I read these words, they're going to get harder, and it's okay. Some of these words are even hard for adults to spell. I always tell them that because it's true. So I prep them with that. I give them their piece of paper, and just like a normal spelling test, first word on the letter name list looks like this. You just get your book out and you say, first word is jet. The jet made a safe landing. Jet. And then you give the students time and they write them out. And so there are 25 words in this section, so the students go through and write all the words. Now, when they're done, this is what I really like about the DSA. You are going to look into not if the word is spelled correctly, and this is similar, this is the same with the words their way as well, just like the way it's organized in the DSA, but you're not going to look and say, okay, they spelled 16 out of 20 words correctly or 16 out of 25. You're actually going to be looking at the features in the words. So whether or not they use digraphs, like whether or not for the word chip, they spelled it CH or what did they use instead. Whether or not they used silent letters, whether or not they used vowel teams. So you're actually looking for the accuracy of the spelling patterns, not the spelling of the whole word. So, for example, for that first word, jet, when I look at the grading sheet, which once again, I'm not going to go through all this. It's a lot easier than it looks. And if you have the book or you teach at my school, we have quite a few of these books. I also have a link on Amazon on the blog on the materials list to all the different places you can buy these if you're interested. I don't make any money from this program, so don't worry about it. But take a look here. See for number 1 how it says jet, and the J is underlined. I know it's hard to see. When I'm assessing the word jet, the student could have written jut, but they're still correct because the J is represented, and that is what I am assessing. For ship, they could have wrote shop, but because they have the SH digraph, it's correct. So it's looking at the features of the words that students are using but confusing, and it's really going to help you to specifically make groups in your classroom and to target your instruction appropriately. So I'm not going to get into this nitty-gritty, but I did want to show you my favorite thing about the DSA. Now I know I'm a bit of a nerd, so this might not be too exciting to you, but it's really exciting to me. So this is called the DSA Class Record, and there's also a copy of this on one of the references I showed on the video and links page. And you can see it goes through the stages. There's letter name, I know it looks backwards, word within word, syllable juncture, and derivational constancy. So I would put all of the names of my kiddos over here. And then when you go through and you grade your spelling inventory, you're going to actually code each word, and it's very easy. You'll see in the book with an A, B, C, D, or E, depending on what you're assessing. So A is initial and final consonants, B is initial consonants, blends, and digraphs, C is short vowels, D is affricates, which some people eliminate. You can if you would like tr and train. A lot of students will spell it C-H-R. And E, final consonant, blends, and digraphs. So this is a continuum of developmental spelling patterns, and they're actually pretty much in the order that students develop them in. You could tweak them a little bit, and I have a notes on that in my book as well if you wanted to see that. But pretty much it follows this pattern. So in each of these, if the student, there's 5 words for each letter in there. So there's 5 words where you're looking at the initial and final consonant. So say, I'll use my husband's name, say Mike Johnston took this assessment and he went on and he ended up for letter A, he got all of those right. So he would have a 5. And then B, oh, the next one he got 5. Oh, but here for C, for short vowels, he got 4 out of 5. So I put my 4 here and you go all the way across. And then you have a stage score, which is all those scores added up. And it tells you whether or not that student has passed that stage and can move on to the next one. So what is really cool, once you get all your students on here, you can clearly see where they start to use but confuse specific spelling patterns. I always highlight where the first place that they missed one spelling pattern, and I place them in a group of students who are working on that. So for example, for the student Mike, he missed short vowels. I would put him in with the short vowel group and see how he does. Now what does that mean? He's going to be in a word study group with students who are working on short vowel sounds. Now from that assessment, I might have seen specifically, say he was writing the word cat and he wrote cut. Well, he has some sort of issue with a short A. So I would go into my Words Their Way text or any of my supplemental word study books. These are all on the materials list page. This one's my favorite. And find a short vowel sort that you can use in class. So I'm going to look at that right now and show you how easy it is to find a short vowel sort. Oh, look at that. There's a short vowel sort right there. So this short vowel sort is actually working on word families. So that would be a great place to start, and you can see that there's pictures and there's also word cards to sort out. Now, next week I'm going to be getting into the word study exercises. Word sorts, most people think, well, okay, I give the kiddo this sheet, they cut it out, they sort it, they glue it. Done. We did a word sort. But that's actually not the most effective way to do word study instruction. There are so many activities that you can do with word study, and it's so much fun and engaging, and it's been proven by research where the students really learn a lot about spelling patterns. And instead of learning 10 words for the week by memorizing, they can learn like 50 plus words, but by just learning a specific spelling pattern. And of course that really with the older students is more appropriate. But anywho, next week I'm going to get into specifically how to organize instruction. I have a routine I use in my classroom, and I'm actually changing it up for this upcoming year and modifying it with some things I've found from my research. So I really do practice what I preach, guys. So I'm not just showing this because it was a topic I could choose. It was my choice. I love word study. It's my favorite part of the day. And I also wanted to say to you, do not stress about, oh, well, I can't do word study because there's not enough time in my reading and language arts between the Basel program or the reading assist program or whatever you are using in the classroom, your guided reading groups. There is enough time. Word study is excellent in integrating into a program that already exists and then using it to really supplement all of that. A lot of students can do a lot of this stuff independent once you introduce it. It's really just a wonderful program that you can sneak into your instruction. I promise it is easy and you are going to enjoy it, and the students are going to really benefit from it. And it's great to show their progress. These developmental spelling inventories, I do 3 times a year. It's recommended to do 3 times a year. And there's multiple forms in the Word Journeys text, so you run out. Usually we recommend doing Form A in the fall, Form B in the winter, and then the same Form A in the spring. However, you can change that around how you feel fitting. But the Form A at the beginning and the end really shows the progress over the whole year. and changing from Form A to Form B in the middle of the year just so the students don't get stuck and remember that they did those same exact words last time. If you have any questions, let me know. Please check out my blog post. I'll give you a little to-do list for this week. And thank you so much for watching, and thank you for all of your help. I hope you're having an awesome summer, and I'm just excited to work with you all. Thank you very much, and have a great one.